Hello MKT. Of course I'll accept your video response. I accept all video responses unless it's just like totally out of line or something that's against YouTube's terms of service agreement, but I'll jump right into this because I don't know how long this is going to be and I like to keep my videos under 10 minutes. I'll start off by saying that you have to understand what the point of my hair videos is. I am not endorsing perm. I do not have a perm. I quit perm about 10 years ago. Even so, I'm not going to put myself up on a pedestal like I've reached some greater understanding or like I'm better than people who do perm their hair. Like My Pie said in one of her videos, and I don't remember which one and I don't remember exactly how she said it, but she said, you don't know what people have been through. I know an Asian person who changed their eye because when they were little, kids used to laugh at their eye. And you can sit there and say all day, well, you need to learn to love yourself, but that's easy to say from the outside when it wasn't you that was getting laughed at. You made the point about how if little black girls had locks, they would be able to flip their hair. That is true, but here's why that's not a home run for you. This injury to the psyche that we get from our hair happens at a very early age. I remember when I was a kid and I started to notice that my hair didn't do what some of my white friends' hair did. I was like 4, maybe even younger than that. But I'll give you a break and say 5 because that's the age kids go to kindergarten. And if they go to kindergarten with kids of other races, then they're definitely going to notice the hair. Okay, so your 5-year-old daughter comes home from school asking why her hair won't do what the other kid's hair does. So you decide you're going to start locks in her hair. Okay, unless she's got super long hair, when you start locks, they're going to be, what? Short. You would have needed to start her hair about 2-3 years ago in order for them to be long enough for her to flip her hair at that age. Good luck trying to start locks in a 3-year-old's head. By the time you can put locks in a kid's hair, or by the time it'll be long enough for them to flip their hair, the injury to the mind has already been done. The brain fuck starts early. Look at the kids in the doll test video. They are 4 and 5 years old, already scarred. But anyway, back to what you were saying, MKTKing. You said that if little girls had locks, they would be able to flip their hair like the other girls. But you said as if that's important. Well, don't ask me if that's important. Ask the little 5-year-old girl who wants to flip her hair if that's important. It's important to her. It may not be important to us as adults, but it's important to her. Just like if all her friends have a Hannah Montana doll, she wants a Hannah Montana doll. Is that important? No, but it's important to her. Then you said their hair does not have to be permed. First of all, I never said that, and second of all, absolutely their hair should not be permed. Like Chris Rock said, a perm should only be put in someone's head if they're old enough to make that choice for themselves. And again, I am not pro-perm. I am pro-choice when it comes to hair. Well, I'm pro-choice when it comes to abortion as well, but the point is that people should be able to do whatever they want to their hair and not hear a lot of crap about it. If somebody wants to put chemicals in their hair to straighten their hair, that is their business. It's not your place or my place to call them self-hating and all that other crap because you're not changing their mind, you're just making them feel irritated about it. Then you said you don't have to live by the perm or the weave. Well, you don't have to do anything. Then you said a few other things. Then you asked me if I'm proud of who I am. Well, first of all, I am natural. And second of all, ask that question to a little 5-year-old girl who just came home from school asking why her hair won't do what the other kid's hair does. Ask a little 5-year-old black girl that question and you'll get the truth. Because at that age, kids haven't learned that it's not cool to say certain things like, oh, I don't like being black or I hate my hair. The realization that you shouldn't say things like that doesn't come till you're probably 9, 10, or 11 years old. I love studying child development, and one thing you'll realize when you start studying child development is that the things that you think children realize but they just don't, and it only happens after a certain age. Kids are brutally honest until they learn that it's not cool to say certain things. Okay, when I was talking about church and gospel music, that was an analogy for people telling black women that they hate themselves because they perm their hair. When you tell somebody that, you're not changing their mind, you're just making them feel crappy about it. Until somebody deals with whatever it is that makes them want to straighten their hair, you barking at them is useless. Okay, then you played the part of the tape where I talked about Oprah starting a school over in South Africa for black girls, and you said, tell me something I don't know. Well, this video wasn't to you. I probably said a lot of things in the video that you already knew, so why you picked that one thing out of everything else, I don't know. Then you asked me how I know Oprah doesn't commit crimes. Who cares? The point I was trying to make is, even if she does commit crimes, make a connection between that and her hair. Alright, then you played the part of the tape where I asked for a real-world manifestation of this so-called self-hate. Then you talked about how some black women won't leave the house or can't leave the house until they get their tracks finished. Now, besides the fact that I didn't talk about weaves in my video, I'll go ahead and answer you. First of all, you don't sew in tracks every day. You sew them in one day and you wear them for however long, then you take them down. You could also be late twisting your dreads. That also takes time. Also, it's only a problem that you can't leave the house if you have to be somewhere. So in order to make that argument, you have to show that women with weaves are habitually late, whereas women who have natural hair are not. And then when you get done doing that, you have to compare that to black men who love themselves so much because they keep their hair natural, and see if they are habitually late. Okay, on to your second video. You said that the argument that white women wear weaves too needs to die. Well, I didn't make that argument. I did mention it in my video as an argument I've heard some people make, but I'm not making that argument myself because I haven't even talked about weaves. Then I said something about there's no evidence that black women avoid black men who have kinky hair, and then you responded, I don't think this is a time and place where you have the choice to avoid any type of black man. So you're cool with black women liking thugs then, right? I mean, you did just say we can't afford to avoid any type of black man. That's what you said. Now, I know that's not what you meant, but what you meant to say was off topic. Again, I asked the question, what's the real world manifestation of this self-hate? And you responded, well, isn't not taking care of your health and your insides an example of self-hate? Okay, this from a guy who was drinking and smoking in the video. Okay, aside from that, I will go ahead and say that I think that you brought up a good point with that one. While I don't consider not exercising to be self-hate, I would say that that is a negative consequence of having a perm. But here's one objection I would have to make. You would have to show that women who are natural do exercise. It could be that black women who have natural hair don't exercise either, but they just come up with a different excuse for it. And that applies to women who have perms right now. If they didn't have the perms, they probably still wouldn't exercise. They'd just come up with a different excuse for it. Also, some of you black guys here on YouTube harp on the weight thing because black women are the fattest of all groups, but still a very high percentage of black men are fat too. I think 60-something%. I think you're the fattest of the men. But anyway, that's probably an indicator that many of you aren't working out either. And my point is, like, what's their excuse for not working out? Black men who don't work out will probably have some kind of excuse as well. Then you said it's not about hating your hair, it's about hating being a black woman overall. I'll point back to Oprah. You think she hates being a black woman? What about Michelle Obama, or Condoleezza Rice, or Maya Angelou? You're taking this thing way too far, making way too broad of a statement. How can you tell that someone doesn't want to be a black woman based on what they do to their hair? There would have to be some other kind of manifestations. And by the way, Oprah does work out. She has her personal trainer on the show sometimes, and I'm sure Michelle Obama and Condoleezza Rice work out as well. But anyway, you're taking that too far. You can't back that up with anything. You're just pointing to the hair and making this broad statement that you really can't back up. Then you commented on a little rant I was on when I was saying, well, you can't say it's this and you can't say it's that. You said, well, I'm a black man. I can't say anything. Okay, first of all, this video wasn't to you. It's to anybody who calls perming your hair self-hate. That could be a male or a female. Then you said, let's not call it self-hate, let's just say that you don't really like yourself. Okay, I don't think there's anybody on the planet who can look at themselves and not see something they'd like to change. It just so happens that our hair is tied to our race, so we get more shit for it. A woman who changes her hair color didn't want the hair color that she naturally had. But I wouldn't go so far as to say she doesn't like herself. That's crazy. I mean, what person do you know that is completely happy with everything on their body? Just because you don't like one thing about yourself, or you want to change one thing about yourself, means you don't like your whole self? That's crazy. And like I said before, even if you wanted to make the argument that black women hate themselves, we are still functional. We still get on with our lives. We don't sit in the corner crying about something. We get up, go to work, take care of our kids, get our educations, and so on and so on. Then the last point, you said, oh, you threw the black man thing in to cover all your bases. No, that's right. If you're trying to point to a certain thing and say that this is evidence that black women hate themselves, then it would have to be exclusive to black women. Otherwise, it would be called a double standard. It's self-hating when a black woman does it, but somebody else can do it and it's not self-hating. So that's why it has to be only black women. Lastly, you thanked me for accepting your video response, and you are welcome. Bye-bye.